Larry King Live. Larry King Live. Here we go. We gotta have tunes while we play. Okay? We're gonna make graphs today. And this is graph making music. Didn't you know that? Trust me, I am a professional graph maker in a sense. My childhood dream realized. We're gonna make VGC graphs today. And if you don't know what that is, I'll get into it here. But we'll give a little warm up, like give a little bit for people to check it out. I'm not too worried about like having a zany experience, as it were. I'm learning today. So with that in mind, we gotta, turn down the music. It's chill, but it's, like the kind of chill that you need on a Monday afternoon, because like otherwise this week's gonna be forever. So we're not gonna do that. We're gonna make some graphs about some competitive Pokemon trends. Which, can I just say, I understand what it means to say these things. I have been waiting for a long time. Like, I've been at, like, grad school has been kicking my ass, and I've decided that the thing I want to do is make more graphs. But the difference is they're graphs about things I like. Not that I'm not curious about these more, but it's like I've wanted to do this for a while and I just haven't, because I won't get into it here. I'm not out of grad school yet, but I'm at this stage where I'm basically on summer break for a little bit, and I just really am having a great time. So I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna make some plots about competitive Pokemon. I'm gonna take notes on tournament strategies. I'm gonna figure out what's good, what's underperforming. I'm taking notes on this. I'm learning about other things because, god damn it, I love to learn. And if you're gonna have an opinion about that, well, buddy, you're at the wrong channel. So, with that in mind, I'm just gonna do like a minute of setup prep, and then I'm just gonna make some graphs. I'll kind of explain how I do it, and I'm going to learn some data science along the way, and you might too. Hello. All right. Oh no, something bad's happening in that. This is Kirby and the Rainbow Curses official soundtrack, by the way. I just like it, Sometimes you just gotta have some tunes, and it's good to. I'm gonna post a graph in the Blue Sky thing, so you can kind of see what I have done. I made some plots. I like making plots. Yeah. I think that'll be better. But I'm gonna, and then I'll put it in the Blue Sky post. How's that sound? We good with that? Okay, let's do that. So we're gonna take away this making graphs sign now, and we're actually gonna make some graphs. So apologies if my mic freaks out for a second. Yeah, don't move your XLR cables, kids. Okay, one other problem I have is I did not design my desk properly 5 years ago. And since then, I have lived with the nightmare. So anyway, yeah, just keep me posted if stream starts getting funky for whatever reason. I am not taking this too serious. If it is still dead, let me know. But I'm just here to sort of... Okay, cool. I'm glad it wasn't anything too concerning. We haven't gotten in any like meat of the conversation, so we won't worry about it right now. So let's talk about where I'm getting my data. I'm getting my data from Limitless VGC. Limitless VGC is one of the primary tournament hosting websites of competitive Pokemon. And so I'm going to throw this up on screen here real quick as well, so you can get an idea of what we're looking at here. You would think I'd make this beforehand, but I didn't. So this is Limitless VGC. It's one of those websites where, let's see. I don't know. That's the Elgato. What the hell? Okay, I need to clean my scenes. So Limitless VGC is the place where you basically find all the tournament data for a lot of these online tournaments. So you can see if you update filters in a certain way, you can see what's going on. So I'm going to apply some tags. CMB. Normally they have reg MB, but sometimes it's a little finicky. So I'm going to try some. Point being, you get some interesting tournaments that you can like look at. We have it. Why is this on MA? I don't want it on MA. I want MB. Low. Oh, I've covered up myself in the process of adding this. I probably should have noticed that. That's let's have a look here. Okay. Again, probably should have done this before. Okay. So essentially, here we go. There we go. Okay. No, I would not do that to you. I would not dump all those World Cup Tour stuff on you. Can I figure out what the hell I'm doing? That'd be helpful. Yeah. We're learning. We're learning today. Okay. We want to do tournaments. And we want to do completed. And we want to do this, I think is... Are we... What are we playing? We are playing VGC. We are playing MB. There we go. Okay. Finally. So, here's where I'm getting my data from. So, let's use one that has a lot of, like... I like the 266 players. I think that's a number like that is really good for, like, looking at the data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather that tournament ID. My Windows key. I'm gonna gather that tournament ID, and like we can get a sense for what we're looking at, right? Like you see, you can kind of see how this is gonna work. Where like if I wanted to look at players, I could. If I wanted to look at specific like teams, you know, like what did the winning team use? They use this really standard, common, good team. This is like some people. This isn't the big six, but it's like it's something like incredible. You know, it's genuinely, I think, the best team in the metagame right now, just because of how proven it is. Especially like, I mean, yeah, the real nuance of this team comes from how you really EV. Or I guess SP, how you train these guys. And then Aerodactyl's got like Ice Fang, and like it is an offensive tailwind setter Aerodactyl, which is very good for Mega Aerodactyl as like an alternative to Charizard. And then you have Farigiraf, which actually has like Thunderbolt, which is really interesting to me, thinking that might be like means of shoring up Rain or other kinds of, like Basculegion in particular stands out as having like, it's a way to hit Basculegion that doesn't suck with Farigiraf, you know? Like especially if it's cold citrus Farigiraf, if Basculegion is going to be doing anything to you, it's got to be a wave crash, and if Sun's up, then I guess you wouldn't have to really worry about that too much, would you? So that's kind of how I read that, just on first glance. I mean, it makes sense when you think about what this team does too, because you do have like Trick Room mode that you can run with these three as like your secondary thing, or you can use it to turn off Trick Room. It's just a really good set of Pokemon that all work really well together in this format in a way that is just, it's not metagame defining, but if you're gonna, it's not, I don't want to call it standard either, because it's not the only big team you notice when you start looking at cores. But, I mean, it's basically, if you're not running Aerodactyl for Rigor Wrap, you're running Eternal Floette and, something that I'm just like brain farting right now, but it's like just it's Charizard, Garchomp, Sylveon, Kingambit, more or less. Do not take my word as authority, but this is what I've observed. So I get my data from here, and I then am gonna go, and let's say I really wanted to know how well Kingambit played. I'm like, I gotta know how good Kingambit is in this tournament. Well, I can go to the metagame tab, and you can get the results of the Pokemon per section of the game, of the tournament. So you can get it in the combined phase, you can get it in the top cut only, or you can get it in Swiss rounds only. And so these can tell you different things about the success and failures of a Pokemon. In particular, my goodness, look at Kingambit's matchup here in Top Cut. My goodness, look at Charizard's matchup. My goodness, look at Garchomp's matchup. Like, it is not lost on me that these are all win percentages above 70%. And then if you order it like you can here, you can even see that the 5 Sylveons that appeared in Top Cut matches won 17 out of 21 times. That's like above 80%. That's not a small thing to, like, overlook. There is clearly, like, information that we can learn about what the metagame looks like based on observing a very large tournament. And so, what I want to do in the process of my learning and in my development as a player, I think it really does benefit me to, like, take an approach that feels, you know, intrinsic to me as a person and what I'm good at, while also, like, you know, I'm curious about this. I want to learn some data science. I've been a chart fiend my whole goddamn life, so I'm gonna make some charts, especially because I think it's a good exercise too. I like to be able to communicate my stuff, so it's definitely fun. Excuse me. It's fun for me, and I understand what that can, like. It's you know, it's not for everyone, but this is how I feel. So we're gonna make a chart. We're gonna make a chart. So let's first start really fast. Let's just start with this tournament and actually, like, get a sense for which Pokemon won and which Pokemon lost, right? Because, like, how many Pokemon do you think were in this tournament? How many do we think we're in here? Because I think it's a lot. I mean, you have 200 entrants. You have 266 entrants. And, like, they all can have 6 Pokemon. It's a big number. Like, you know, if we upper bound that, 250 times 6 is 1,500, right? Yeah, so 1,500, and then 16 times 6 is 6, and then 9... 16 times 6, is that 96? Yeah, that's 96. So it's 96 plus 1,500. So 1,596, is that right? 266 times 16? Or 266 times 6? Did I fuck it up? What is this number? 266 times 6? Oh, shit. Nice. This is a really good way to introduce what I'm doing my charts in. Okay. Nice job, me. We are making our charts in RStudio. RStudio is a data plotting tool. Basically, I can program what I want my thing to do, and it will do it. So this was done. It was written in RStudio, and it's not me asking the neural network to tell me, hey, what's good? But this is how it would be. So here's a really, really interesting way to start things off. Let's talk about this tournament. It's Coon's Cup 2. Coon Champion Cup 2. All the players are a lot of Filipino players. I believe this is a Filipino tournament. You had some players from other regions. That's fun to see what's going on in a different community. So we can go into RStudio. I have to minimize this. I love this one, by the way. And so I took the tournament ID, and I'm going to copy and paste it into here. And I have the format ID is MB. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I want to look at King Gambit. Like, tell me how good King Gambit did. Oh no, actually, you know what? Let's start elsewhere. Let's start elsewhere. Let's look at the metagame as a whole first, because this will actually be more interesting for us. So what we have is I'm querying Limitless's API, just with a little bit of this. Not good code. I'm like figuring it out as I go. But what we have here is essentially we call this program, or this little I guess a file I wrote, that will query the API and provide it back to me. Then what I do is, using the tournament ID and the format, I can then import the metagame table, where I take the URL that I got from the queried API, and I can sort of put it back into the URL, and I can use like the scraper to scrape that data, and then I just convert that into like a format readable for RStudio, and that you just do because the tables on Limitless are HTML. So, and it's not hard to just like query the source. So we have that. And so what that means is then I can say, okay, I want to make a chart, and let's say I want to see how well a Pokemon did in the context of, let's say we're looking at King Gambit, right? How frequently did King Gambit actually like win versus how much did it show up? You know, like, we're not looking at matchups necessarily, but we're looking more, well, I guess we're kind of looking up at matchups. It'll be easier to explain this once we get there. I think a great way you could do this is looking at like, excuse me, we're looking at metagame. Yeah, we're using the metagame tab where we're seeing this data. So we're gonna look at Garchomp, or no, King Gambit, excuse me, has a share. What does share mean? This share is the percent of teams that had King Gambit on it, that played a match. So you can see that King Gambit came 97 times out of the whole roster of Pokemon available for the tournament, right? That were then brought to the tournament. So it's like 97. If you add all this up, you probably get to 266. That mental math, well, this number divided by 6 is going to be less than 266. Let's put it that way. Is that right? Yeah, some of that divided by 6. Yeah. So, anyway, you have the name, you have its share, you have its score, so win, lost, tie, and then its win percentage. So the most compelling thing that I would want to look at when I'm observing this whole table, it's really easy to see which Pokemon are the best, and it's really easy to see Pokemon which are the worst. But really, what is the best and the worst? Is it win percentage? Well, then Aegislash has the best win percentage, but it was on one team, and that went 3-1. Like, is that a meaningful contributor to the tournament? Or is something else like Delphox, which came 14 times which is only 5% of all all matches had a Delphox, and it's got a 63.4% win rate. That is like very interesting. And when you look at, you've got some other ones here as well. Blastoise is another one. It's like, these are what are interesting Pokemon to watch. These are ones that will tell you a lot, but how are you going to know, like, when you start comparing these things to each other, right? Like, how do you know that? So what we can do is we can look at this whole data set combined on a plot. Here's how we're going to do it. I have plot option as combined, so we're going to see all data from the whole tournament. And then I'm going to make a plot, and I am going to show you, turning off that, what that looks like. So we're going to look at a metagame. Here it is, the metagame. So let's take a look at this. So here's what we're looking at. On the horizontal axis, we have the share. So the percent Pokemon, or excuse me, percent of matches where this Pokemon was on a team, right? I'm going to get out of the way so I'm not covering up any axes. Oh my god. How embarrassing. Why don't we do it like, we do it up here? What if I turn myself around, huh? What about this, huh? That could be fun. Okay. So why don't we do that? Let's do that so we can see our axes pretty well. So what we have here is on the horizontal axis, we have the share. And on the vertical axis, we have the win percentage. So that means that we would expect to see Pokemon that won more are higher. And we would expect the Pokemon to be that lost more or did not win as much are lower. That's kind of the first very obvious intuition. This is percentage. I apologize for it not being like of 10. I'm not going to change it right now because I don't intend to code in public in my life, and I'm not going to start here besides like this, you know? But you can see that the 50% line is right across here. So we see these Pokemon that were brought quite a bit. These are the ones that were like very popular. Very popular. And they're all kind of hovering around 50%. Maybe they're a little lower because like they could be below 50% because a lot of people brought them, which means that by the law of large numbers, more people will lose than people will win. And yet it's like 50-50, right? That's not the law of large numbers. The law of large numbers says that given enough repetitions, expected outcomes will occur. And so if you're accounting for every single player, winners and losers in this value, you are naturally going to be including losers into this data. So you have to be gracious with that. Do you think what we're seeing is that the more popular a Pokemon is, the more other Pokemon that counter it are brought, thus kneecapping its win percentage? I do. I actually see that, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. I need to refill my water really fast, so we're gonna deal with that. So here we go. Okay. I'm back. Yeah, I know. I understand the mirror text is back, where it's funny for me. Who said it was for you? Welcome back. We are going to make ourselves a chart, and I'm going to make that, and I'm going to post it on Blue Sky, and I'm going to post in parentheticals, CH, and then it's going to be art stream competitive Pokemon. So one of the things that I sincerely advocate for as a learner, as a lifelong learner for that matter, have paper on hand. I love paper. I love having a notebook. I love having accessible places where I can write stuff down, because I love keeping track of that shit. I think it's fun. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about this chart here. But first, so here's what we're going to do. I am not going to do much in the process of, let me put it this way. I'm not going to change my presentation display too much on charts at this time, simply because I do not want. I don't like coding in public. I don't know how to explain that. Like, I hate it when someone's looking over my shoulder as I code, and it, like, when I was learning C++, the worst feeling was, like, coding with other people, so I don't like that. In any case, we're gonna do CH art stream Does anyone know what I mean? Like, it's weird. I'm not a computer scientist by trade. I'm gonna learn in public when it comes to, like, the math and science, but when it comes to programming, I am an introverted programmer, I guess. Writing with generals, that's also very true. Like, I do like having that privacy, but I can do it in public. Yeah. You know, it's a learned skill, I think, to be able to work in public in a meaningful way. But, you know, it's how it goes. So, you know, yeah, when I have a little bit more experience, absolutely. But when, like, this is my, let's put it this way, this is one of my first coding projects outside of any kind of work or, like, education field. So I'm gonna do this to sort of, like, let myself learn. And learning happens in so many different ways. So, yeah, I'm gonna post it in general. I feel terrible posting in general. I'm gonna post this in Amy's channel. You know, it's a good time. If I'm a complete beginner, yeah, exactly, Loon. I'm just not doing that. You know, I'm not. There are some things I will absolutely do in public. You know, like, especially when it comes to learning. I am so down to, like, learn new stuff when people are offering to do it. Like, but my personal exploits are kind of like, I don't want to give it away. I don't like. Here's what it is. I don't like looking like I'm bad at stuff in public, you know, unless it's, like, in a safe environment. And that, to me, is just so it's true, honestly. But I do also think that at some point it would benefit me in particular to learn a bit more in public. That's what I'm gonna do. Where I'm at. So, with that in mind, here's my freaking promotion channel and goddamn 5 topics. Yeah, okay. Alright. Chart stream is officially go. So, let's talk about this in a competitive Pokemon sense, huh? Finally get to it. That's what people have been waiting for, right? Here we are after a half hour. We finally made a chart. Okay, so what can we say about this? Let's look at this for a little bit. So, you know, I think I need to have a little bit more Boisean stuff now that we're looking at charts. Okay, let's shake it up just for a hot hot beat. A hot beat. Let's see it. Where is my freaking tunes? Um. Oh, shoot, this is so funny. Why didn't I write this down? This is the problem of like you got to write stuff down. If you don't write stuff down, you're gonna lose it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, duh, 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 duh. We want. Oh my. Uh, where the hell is it? Am I crazy? Uh, hello. Uh, okay. You know what? You know what? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We will just play. I really want to listen to like fucking Imaginal Disc right now, but I can't do that on Twitch. Um, because I believe in like those fucking copyrighted music shits, and I care too much. Um, so chat, thanks for bearing with me as I ramble as I figure out what I want to freaking listen to. The hardest problem of the day, honestly. There it is. They spelled it out. Okay, we're listening to some 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors. Because like I wanted to listen to Clouds. Do I have Clouds actually? Hold on. Hold on. Please, you are killing me. I mean we don't have Diagram to Wild. Is it not on this computer anymore? I think I may have moved it. I wanted to listen to a song, but I don't think it's on here anymore. Oh, that's really too bad. I was gonna listen to Clouds KPM. We won't though. We'll listen to 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors instead, huh? This isn't studying music. Get out of here. Uh, oh, okay. Actually, we're not gonna do that. Goodness gracious, pick a freaking song. Um, yeah, I'm just like trying to figure out which song I want to listen to. Yes, I cannot decide, and I'm making an ass of myself. Um, yeah, you know what? We're gonna do this. I'm gonna listen to Pseudo Regalia's freaking OST. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. How's that sound? Okay, there we go. That should load us in for a while. This is good background tunes. Pseudo Regalia's soundtrack. Okay, here we go. So now that we have that all figured out, we're gonna listen to Pseudo Regalia. So the first thing that I really noticed in this case is which Pokemon make up the upper curve and the lower curve, and then which Pokemon are above 10%, right? Like, if 10% of these Mons are coming to every match, right? Like, you have a 1 in 10 shot of seeing these Mons. These are the Mons that are, like, metagame specifically defining, right? So, what I'm looking at here is I see that of the 10%, the lowest is Staraptor. And it's Staraptor with a bullet, right? Like, it is decidedly below the 40% line. 40%. Its win percent was below 40%. That is so low compared to, like, anything else here. The next one is Torkoal, right? But at least Torkoal has, like, Torkoal isn't something that you make a huge decision to make all the time, right? The opportunity cost of Torkoal is so much lower than Megastaraptor. So I can let this pass as like people like using Rain, people like Mega Charizard Y. Like Torkoal is not the best Sunsetter unless you're under, like, Trick Room, or unless you're specifically looking to set Sun without a Mega, right? And in that case, yeah, Torkoal's always going to have utility because it's the other one, right? It is like, you can make a decision to use this one. You can also make it really depends on what you're trying to do. It's just right now, Charizard is better. So that's not to discount Torkoal. Like, Torkoal is a good Pokemon. It's just like, when I see Torkoal being on the bottom half of the above 10% room, and it's like doing this, and then you have Staraptor, which is lower than that by a healthy margin, and it stands out beyond the curve of the plot. You really see a Pokemon that underperformed. Like, this is a Pokemon that straight up lost. If we wanted to look at why this is, we could. So why don't we actually? We see that Mega Staraptor, like, this is for the combined. Like, if you look at how many are in Swiss, no, if you look at how many are in Top Cut, for example, you end up getting something that's also really interesting. There aren't any Mega Staraptors. Like, none. Am I going crazy? Am I lying to you? Okay, there's 2. Excuse me, there's 2 and they have a 50%. So put that in perspective. My mistake. There's 2 of them, and they have the 50%, so they are like here, right? Like, they are here, right? Let me just make sure I'm not lying to you here. Staraptor has a 5% share and a 50% win rate. Okay, so nope, I was lying to you. They are here. They're in this big old bunch of losers. Like, this is the loser corner. These are the dudes who made Top Cut and then didn't make it further. So I think that that's kind of interesting and funny. It's something interesting to absorb. Just okay. Apparently, the Discord AI does not like the fact that there's rats and it's flagging people. This is the latest rumor that's going around. Well, it has every reason to be wrong when it sees mine. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to perpetuate a silly rumor right now. But here's where we get some interesting stuff, right? So you can see this. Let's look at this like top corner here, right? Let's investigate this a little bit, shall we? We can see King Gambit, Garchomp and Charizard, Farigiraf, Aerodactyl, and Sylveon. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Where have we seen that before? Where did we see that? Oh, that's right. It's the winning team. So it's that winning squad, as it were. So when I say the top half of this plot is not super helpful, I mean that in the sense of, yes, the top performing Pokemon in Top Cut are the winners. What is interesting, though, is what has above 70%. I think Dragonite is really interesting. Because Dragonite, if we look at the Top Cut, right? Where is Dragonite, huh? Here. Where else is Dragonite, huh? You can't search by name, so, like, there are very few Dragonite. In fact, why don't we sort by... I want to do... Okay, yeah, let's look at this way. Okay. Here's our Top Cut. Let's look for Dragonite, right? Tell me if you see it, chat. There's Dragonite. Way up here. Way up here. It's like 4th place. Hello to you. We are not quite at Doctor Voltage yet, but we are 17 days from it. My thesis is done. Like, I could do that actually, where if I inspect it and I look for Dragonite. Yeah, why not? I'm gonna open a new little paste. I want a notepad. That's what I want. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna have a brief look at this. We're gonna link that. We're gonna Control F Dragonite. We have 6 Dragonite. By my Control F count. I don't know if that's accurate. Odds are what it was is it's like pre-doctor. Yeah, you could say that. I'm in the phase of making sure my paperwork gets filed. Let's put it that way. So this is the Dragonite. The Dragonite showed up in 6 matches. Is that how it went? I don't know. Point being, Dragonite's very not showing up. So we can... Oh, you know what it is? I copied too much. Point being, you know what? Point being, Dragonite ain't showing up that much. So that's what I think is really interesting. This one right here, that's the one, and you can see, what was it doing? Offensive Dragonite. It's just straight up good old-fashioned, hey, it's Dragonite doing that thing again. None of this Mega Dragonite, none of this, like, I'm going to use Special Hurricane. It's straight up just Lumberry multi-scaled Dragonite. Good, tried and true Dragonite. So I think that is, like, really interesting. I'm keeping track of sets I find interesting on, in my notebook right now so that I can come back and do the importing them off stream because I don't want to do my notes on stream. Again, there's some information in there that I don't need to even put it. So, that Farigiraf is interesting. I might make a note of that. About this tournament too. This is times 2. Okay, so I think also what's interesting to me, I'm going to put Thunderbolt on Farigiraf. Or that. Yeah, it's good. Something I learned recently about complaining about collector's markets ruining things for kids. Weird upside of so much product getting open, making an actual comp deck for the Pokemon TCG and paper is actually really cheap. I have heard this. I'm very pleased to hear that. I am not a TCG player by any stretch. As long as you're lowest rarity printing, I'm so okay with that. Yeah, so, like, you can see, we're looking at D-Knight. Looks like D-Knight, this is because it made top 4. And that does make sense that its win percentage is, like, above 70. I think that's, like, actually just 75%. Share versus win percentage. So, that's pretty interesting. Are these all stats for the video game and not the card game? These are the stats for if you play tournaments on Pokemon Champions. So, it is the... yeah. It's the VGC. So this is Pokemon VGC data analytics at this point, what I'm doing. I am doing data science and analytics to sort of study the metagame right now, to sort of see where should I direct my learning right now and what should I keep in the back of my mind as I am learning? So, like, again, I really need to emphasize here that I would say anything above this 15% share, like, you could sort of make a front through this data where I'd say the most interesting mons to me are it's anything above 70% and it's anything above 15% or 16% essentially, because 16% on this plot is like a 1/6, right? So if you're seeing 1/6, 16, like, it's the way the math works out is that probabilistically you are going to see this Pokemon at least once, right? If you play 6 matches and the appearance is 1 in 6, the expected value that of that probability distribution is 6. Or excuse me, it's 1 in 6, so you play 6 times, so you'll see it 1 time. Excuse me. They do have held items, meaning that just because you see the Pokemon does not mean they are the same, right? It just means they're showing up. Yeah. So maybe to put this in perspective, Loon, the reason I would look at this plot in particular right now is because I will see these Pokemon in a match. And then, so regardless of what they do or why they are good, I know immediately what I am prone to seeing when I play a given match here, right? So that's basically a really good estimate. That's a really good estimate here in this space. To just where should I start, right? Yeah, it's kind of like, again, if you build from the bottom up, knowing like, okay, here's maybe a good way to put it. How are you going to start team building if you don't know where to build your foundation? And that is, I believe, one of the most important things to know when starting to learn anything in life is you need to take the time to learn how to do something before you can try. And so, what I can do, knowing that there's like hundreds of Pokemon to use in this game, let's narrow my scope just a little bit while I'm learning. Figure out, okay, what's up with these 7 Pokemon, you know? And then sort of like ask myself, okay, these guys are still present, like Incineroar and Sinistcha and Basculegion or Chaladon, Whimsicott, Sneasler, Floette, Eternal Mega, Swampert, and Pelipper are all of these above the 16% threshold. So you're still gonna see one of these on a team. And so you need to know what they do. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. If you want to play the format, you need to understand that. Hey, it's me, the Sneasler. How you doing? I'm a cheerleader, what can I say? I carry you up walls and shit. Okay, so, and then underneath this quadrant is kind of like, you can kind of see, or at least maybe this is just me seeing it, I see, you know, the integers start to emerge here, where it's very obvious that, you know, what is down here at this 50%, I would expect exactly 6 points, no more than 6 points, in fact, to be below this 50% line. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Someone's got to lose this top cut. I would have to know what the format is. Is that Butterfree or Vivillon? That is Vivillon. This is Vivillon right here. And it is above Metagross, just to be clear. That is one thing about these charts, like, they will overlap sprites. And I think that, you know, that's, if it's the same statistical information, I can look at the table. I can look at the raw table and see what that is. Granted, I can do that. You can't do that. So let me just, you know, help a friend out. Anyway, so What the heck is Vivillon doing so high up on the chart? Well, Vivillon is not a bad mon, honestly. I have not done a ton of study into Vivillon, but I really ought to at this point. I'm gonna write a note about that, just because we're seeing it a couple times. So let's go to standings and let's find the top cut. So here's our top 5 Vivillon here. Vivillon is Sash, Compound Eyes, Timid, Hurricane, Sleep Powder, Rage Powder, Protect. So here, yes, it is a talking Rotom-Mow. Hello. Let me finish this thought about Vivillon here, and then I'll review what the axes are now that we are in this phase of discussion. So essentially what we have here, Vivillon, without looking at its stats too much, Hurricane, Sleep Powder, Rage Powder, Protect. So Sleep Powder and Rage Powder are two very disruptive moves in Pokemon in general. Sleep Powder puts Pokemon to sleep, and Rage Powder redirects an attack in double battles. And so what that means is that Vivillon can make your life bad by telling you what you're going to do. So when you're asleep, you can't act for, I think it's 2 to 3 turns. I need to review that mechanic again. I think you can get a first turn wake, actually. I think it's up to 3. Yeah, up to 3. Rage Powder is not, like, well distributed, so, you know, like, if it gets something valuable in the metagame, it's going to be used. And then Hurricane is really powerful flying type attack that is boosted in range. Its accuracy is boosted in range. Not that it needs it, though, because Vivillon has Compound Eyes, an ability that boosts its accuracy by, I believe, 20%? Something like that, where, like, Sleep Powder, an infamously, disastrously inaccurate move, is boosted with Compound Eyes to be, like, 96% or something like that. Yeah, this is in doubles, yes. So that's another thing. I am learning how to play doubles. I played singles for 15 years. I've played competitive Pokemon off and on. It has almost primarily been singles. But I did have a stint in VGC in 2015. I just played, like, my local stuff, and I went to the Fort Wayne Regional, and I didn't realize that the VGC event was on Sunday, and we had driven. So I had to drop, and I went, like, 1 and 2. You know, like, it was not like I was gonna make top cut. I was 1 and 2 because I went 0 and 2 to start. Let's put it that way. When I found out I would not be able to play more. So, since then I've played a lot of, like, singles. Variable tournament success. I played it more for fun and good community, friends that made a lot. But, you know, like, I was in school, I was learning all the time, so I wasn't, like, taking this learning as seriously. So, let's take some, now that I have an education, I'm literally going to be Dr. Voltage. Let's actually freaking use some learning skills to actually learn how to do something you want to do, right? So, with that in mind, yeah, this is doubles. That's my background to some degree. So we have, like, a Perish Trap set with Vivillon that, like, is very much used, like, in tandem with these Perish Song and Protect and Encore, because it redirects your attack so you are not able to take out the Gengar, for example. Or you are not able to, like, prevent Politoed from just sitting there. You know, it's something, like, this is probably the closest thing you're gonna get to, like, stall in VGC as, like, an analog. It's not stall necessarily. Or, like, it's stall made from the burden of a time limit, you know? Like, Perish Trap is time limits. Is, like, stall with time limit rules, basically. Because in VGC, your match is, like, 20 minutes most. Or you have 7 minutes to act per match, so, like, you know, mind games, and there's, again, like 20 minutes total in the match, so you just gotta, like, have that shit unlocked. In any case. So, I think then we can return to the chart here. This is a good team to look at, though. Gio de la Cuesta. This is actually helpful information to learn because I'm participating in a competitive Cobblemon tourney soon. Yeah, like, this is generally, like, how you might prep for a tournament. Yeah, I've heard of Cobblemon. It's a neat, like, concept. I think that's pretty cool. So here's an interesting thing too. Because I've taken multiple notes on this team, I am gonna try and, like, actually recreate it. I think this is an interesting team to, like, try and figure out how it was trained. You know, like, tracing through it. So I might do that. I might do that on my own. We'll see. We'll see what we do. I want to keep looking at charts. Yeah, that Vivillon was a really interesting study. Thank you for asking about it. That's kind of like the magic of this, is, like, you can sort of look and see, like, hey, what's the deal with this thing, right? And then you kind of get an idea. You actually have to train these up. No, at this point, you just, like, use sliders, and it's you used to. Boy, you used to. Okay. Let's look at Swiss for this team. So this is only the matches in the first part of the tournament, which were, like, the qualifying rounds, right? So here's where I'd say some interesting stuff is, where you can really follow. This might not be what's winning now, but it could be winning soon, I think, is a great way to talk about it. You can see Politoed and Vivillon up here, and Gengar here too. You can really see the Perish Trap winning front right here. Like, people did not prepare for Perish Trap in this tournament, but the top cut players did, right? Like, that's what this data tells me. But that does not mean that Perish Trap is bad. It just means that, yeah, it is very much like fashion trends. We're basically explaining what's going on in the game by the numbers. So I would argue here that Perish Trap is pretty freaking good. I think Staraptor grossly underperformed. I think people really over-prepared for Staraptor. What we can do, if, let's say, we wanted to dig into this a little bit more, though, like, what's going on in this low share but mediocre to high win percentage? Like, what are we seeing here? So what I can do for that is I can scale the axes a little differently. And I can scale it on an X is a logarithmic. Basically, all you need to know for a logarithmic chart is that you are basically going by powers of 10, right? So, essentially, you are going by what's from 1 to 10 is a big leap. From 10 to 100 is a big leap on a linear scale. On a logarithmic scale, it's just spreading out so you can see this lower data at a similar scale to the higher data. Again, I've sort of prepared a lot of these that I wanted to look at, so I might try plotting the ticks a little different, but I'm still learning. You know, do that right now. So, what I see that's really interesting to me is Delphox. Delphox right here. Very interesting. And that was what I was telling you all about before, where I saw Delphox being so if we look at win percentage, you go like 1, 5, 1, 1, 7, 4 to 14. Delphox is like the most seen Pokemon by a healthy margin into the metagame. Like, there's more than 10, like 12 Pokemon, right? Like, this is 12 or 13 probably. Delphox is the most, has like the highest win rate despite it. So when we look at it like this, we can see, yeah, Delphox comes only so much, but it's pretty high up there. Like, it defines this front on the plot right here, which is very interesting to consider. interesting to kind of look at the normality of this plot too when you start to look at it this way. I don't know if that is... I mean, yeah, the win percentage would be just slightly below. Like, if we took the average of all the win percentages in here, yeah, this would probably be centered at, like, 48%, right? That's just, again, how tournaments work. More people lose than win. Such a stupid thing to say. But you know what I mean? We all know what I mean. Yeah, so okay. This is where, like, I would say, like, if you're looking for interesting Pokemon to study and maybe, like, include in your, hey, this could be fun to team build, Delphox and Blastoise are both really interesting. They're like, Blastoise honestly fits this curve better here, right? And Delphox stands above it. So, make for page for Blastoise and Delphox. Whoa, crazy thought. You're good. It's okay. I get to talk to the world about my interest in looking at data. Yeah, so okay, here's another interesting one to see is Hatterene just like freaking stunk. I was talking with this with someone I, interacted with in a server on like MinMax, where they said that they thought Hatterene just needed a psychic terrain setter of its own to really make use of it, because like any other means of setting psychic terrain is just not viable right now. But once it is, I think a lot of people expect Hatterene to be quite good with expanding force. Yeah. Sorry, I was someone replied to me. Good old Cool Fonts replied to me. So you see your favorite Whimsicott on this list? Yes, you do, Sigma. Whimsicott's really good. Whimsicott is one of the top threats to have to contend with in the metagame at any given point. Let's look at that. Actually, let's just stay here because I wanna talk a bit about Delphox still. But Whimsicott's cool. Whimsicott's really cool because it's got like high utility and also there's offense to it, as you know. But it pairs really well with a lot of physical attackers. A lot of people probably brought it with Megastaraptor, but like that gets flowcharted so easily, so it's like you might as well just not. I think I think Megastaraptor is like overhyped in a meaningful way. If I were to make a YouTube thumbnail, I would literally I would put this back in linear scale. Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's the YouTube thumbnail, right? We're gonna put this in linear scale, and I'm gonna get a copy of this, and I'm gonna copy this image, and I'm gonna put it in Paint, right? I'm gonna open up Paint in a window here. Bear with me. MS Paint. There we go. And we're gonna do something like this, right? And we're gonna go like that. And we're gonna go, bear with me. We're gonna do like an arrow. We're gonna do something like red arrow, right? It's gonna be full, and it's gonna be really thick, and it's gonna be like, oh shit, this looks terrible. Let's change that. There we go. This is so fucking horrible. Fuck Paint. Let's use PaintNet. No, yeah, we're using Paint.net. Sorry, bear with me. False start. Sorry about that, everyone. PaintNet is way more friendly for me. I've been using PaintNet for, like, freaking as long as I've been playing competitive Pokemon. That's funny. I've been using this for so long. Okay. Hello? Expand. What are we doing? PaintNet, come on. I've never streamed with PaintNet, though, can you tell? Are we live? Are we doing PaintNet? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Come on, what are we doing? Come on, you freak. Okay, never mind. We aren't even gonna do this either. PaintNet, you've let me down. I am sorry to hear it. Okay, here we are. MS Paint once again. Sorry, I'm back. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna put this here. Yeah. That's right. MS Paint. We're gonna MS Paint this, and we're gonna be like this, and we're gonna do something like this. We're gonna do red circle. We're gonna do red circle. Gonna be, that's a good line. We're gonna do red circle, and then we're gonna do the arrow tool. We're gonna do that. I really want to add a drop shadow, but I can't. I guess we're doing the MS Paint because life is hell, and then we all die. And we could do a Pokemon font, but I think it's actually more funny if yeah, I think we're gonna do this, where look at this. Oh, it's a good picture. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. This is so fucking funny. This thing's on fucking Mario Fraud Watch. Mario Fraud Watch! This is really funny to me. We could do that, and then I'm gonna make my Fujitech really big. Oh! There you go. There's your freaking thumbnail, chumps. Right there. That's your thumbnail. That's your thumbnail. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's good. Good job, me. Nice work. This is good. This is good. Okay, but okay, actually, you know what? I like having MS Paint open. We're gonna zoom. I'm gonna get this friendly to me again, but we're gonna get this nice and friendly size so that I can doodle around in it, because I think actually that might be kind of compelling. So let's do that. Let's shrink it. Back over to here. Okay. So what is going on here, right? What's going on? Okay. So at this stage, I would like to draw a nice, cool little line, and I'll sort of draw what I think is like the interesting spots, right? I really do think that, where's my 16%, right? Like right around here. So let's draw that line there. This is the 16% line. Let's not use the Mario font for this. Let's actually let's pick a different font. Let's use the Zelda font. This is 16%. This is the 1 in 6. Let's officially call this the 1 in 6 line. So that's the 1 in 6 line. How to rotate in MS Paint. Let's do rotate in MS Paint. Okay. This is the 1 in 6 line. So you can generally say I would say frankly Aerodactyl and Archaludon, even though they're not there, come on, you're really gonna be a freaking hater. Case in point, let's draw our interesting dudes front, okay? we're gonna draw the interesting dudes front. I think Gotcha Man actually coined a term for this when I posted this in the server. Okay, I posted this in a. Yeah, Gotcha Man called this the cool guy. So we are going to call this the cool guy line, okay? So I am going to define this based on like the top Pokemon through the curve, right? This is the upper curve. You could loop these guys. So if you're above this line, you're part of the cool guys, right? So check out my. Oh, I thought I could do splines. Check this out. We go that, and then we go like that. So this is the cool guy line, more or less. Let's sidle that right in here, where I would say it looks something like this, where Vivillon's on it. I wouldn't consider anything with like a 0 or like a below 1% to see. This is G&V style chart drawing. Oh, that's a very high compliment to you. This is gonna be okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna screenshot. We're gonna do it this way. This is a shout out to Gotcha Man. This is the cool guy line. Let's try this again. Okay, yeah, that's the cool guy. One more time. This is the cool guy line right here. Okay, that's the cool guy. Similarly, I would say anything in, I mean, yeah, this is obviously Fraud Watch, but it's like, this is basically that, and then if I really wanted to make another interesting note, is I would put a second line in, and I would do it at the 50% line. And I would do it up to here, right? So I'd say, if you're not in the cool guy line, this is what I would call sort of like, they won. This is the guy, these are the guys that won more than they lost. But they're not in the cool guy line. And then I would argue that anything below 40% is kind of not where you want to be as a Pokemon. You know, like, I would say that below 40%, one could make the argument that these Pokemon are not viable. Which is really interesting because, or if they're not viable, maybe they're not, it's not that they're not viable, but maybe instead what we're looking at here is mons that might be good under other circumstances, but are not going to perform well in the current metagame. So these are things that, like, look, Galarian Slowking is good, but, like, it's just not good in this metagame. Blaziken right now does not seem to be doing quite well, but it is above, like, it's above the 2% threshold, so it's, like, you know, interesting to observe. I think you could, if you really wanted to get absolutely rigid about what if you wanted to, like, cut out noise, I think you could probably make a cut at, like, basically below the cool guy line. If you're not above, like, 2%, I'm sorry, you're not, like... You see what I mean? Like, there's this layer here. What is this layer? What is this layer? Let's look at that. Let's investigate this further. So, let's set this to be a log scale. Okay, I'm gonna... let's... bear with me. Bear with me. We're gonna minimize that. Okay, so let's put this in log scale and get that as well, so we can really see what's going on here. This paint does have layers, but, like, I don't know. Okay, so what we're looking at is, like, Politoed is at above This is not a 2. I need to emphasize this is not a 2. It's E, okay? It's really, I know I'm an engineer. I know I'm an engineer. I know E is 3. I also know that what I have just said might sound just kind of crazy, but this is E. This is the marker that is above E. So that's a very funny thing I've just said right now. I would say, well, I'm not running the newest version of MS Paint. So let's call this the E line, okay? So this is the E line. EXP to the 1, because we gotta be precise with it. What is that? You know, like, that is a probabilistic value. E's a funny number. Let me tell you. We're gonna make this Krabby Patty. This is Krabby Patty font. Okay, E's a funny number. Why is E a funny number? Because E is when you take the derivative of E to the X, its derivative is E to the X, so it grows at the same rate that it changes. It is the estrogen line, as it were. It's extradiol or something. I'm covering up this axis. I am so sorry. Let's move ourselves around and talk about this more again. So what we have here is the EXP line. So it's the exponential to the 1, e to the x, e to the 1, right? So it's e to the 1. It is e. And basically, the mons above this line are probably worth at least having a general, not to disqualify other stuff, but to say, like, if you want to really understand the metagame, you need to know what these things do. Because people are bringing these, like, a not small amount of time. Like, yeah, Annihilate is here, and it was big, but it's been nerfed, and it's not explored. Scizor is, you know, not being explored a ton. Mamoswine is, I think, really interesting, but you have to have it on a very specific team. And then, like, these guys are just like they were on teams and they were good. So if we're to explain the phase diagram of this, here's what I would say. I would say this. Above the 1 and 6 line, can I please make, like, something cool in paint.net? I really want to do this. Let's see here. Properties. There we go. Okay. We're going to do this. So, all right. I'm keeping that MS Paint, but here's what we're going to do from here on now. Is we are going to work within the bounds of our magical art history space. If it will let me. And if it doesn't, that's okay. I just want my bounds to be good. Okay, this is what do I have clicked on right now? That's good. Okay, so let's have a talk about this guy, and let's bring that forward. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a where's my layer? There it is. Okay, this is an art stream, everybody. It's a chart stream. We're going to add a background to this, and I realize you can't see this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see. Rather than window, I could just capture monitor. I think I'll do that. Dangerous game to play, but that's what I'm going to do. Do display capture. We'll enter fast. Yeah, we'll do display capture that way, and it's gonna be nope, it's gonna be that guy. Yeah, and it's gonna be that. All right, so then we're gonna put it down here. Let's put this way down. This is a very good idea. Okay. Let's see what we are dealing with. Okay, so we have our paint.net open here, and I am going to do some working around in it. So essentially what we have our second layer, and I am going to draw out something. I'm going to say, first and foremost, I want to... I would love to... It's going to be a little janky, but we'll have fun with it. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going slowly to make sure I do it properly. Let's do blood mode. Why don't we do that? Let's see what happens. We want to exclude. So let's do... Nope. Okay, and then I'm going to do... Nope. Let's see. Do this. Nope, never mind. I'm just gonna do it. Then make it the old-fashioned, right? I'm on the proper layer. Good. Okay. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Right, we're gonna do one at a time because we are okay. That we are in flood mode. Let's just see what that does. Okay, it's funny. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw square. No. Here's what we do. And then we do put that background layer back there. Problem solved. Now what we do is we add square and we do filled, and we're gonna have that be gray. It's gonna be opacity like that. Low opacity. I'm just gonna say in this region you have like the big guys, the big guns as it were, right? Then you have basically in this. Let's get this green line, hey? All right. In this green line, we are going to let's do another layer. Close that. And then we will essentially draw another line of that color. Like so, and then we just do 5. Oh, I don't want it. I don't want that. Okay, so I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna do this by hand. Get it fixed right. Oh, actually, here's what I can do. I can just do it all the way across and then get that back. Yep, okay, so we do that, and then let's paint can this guy with, like, this light-ish green. And we'll, no. No. And then we have to fill in that still. Okay. Yep. Okay. Now we can make this. Nope. Where is my hole? Okay. I just want this. No. Not the globe. Where is the gap? What? What are we doing? Oh, there it is. Okay. My bad. Let's finish this out. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. Yep, there we go. Okay, so now let's oh, a puzzle, isn't it? copy this from this layer. Let's grab it. Yeah. And let's put it on the top layer. And then we'll turn it off. And then I can mess around with it on other layers. At this point, we can select this whole region. Excuse me, this whole region, and we can paint pan this guy. Where is the? Oh my god. Okay, not a problem. We're cool. Art's hard. Okay. We can paint that guy in. At this kind of opacity, I think. So when we have this layer on, it looks kind of like that. Maybe we make it a little stronger? No. Less strong, more green. Yeah. And then we have... Oh. We have the cool guy line, and I'm gonna do the thing where I outline it, and I drop shadow it to make it the ugliest fucking thing. Yeah. This is the cool guy lines. We're gonna object, we're gonna drop shadow that. That's so jank. I love that. Oh man. That's so funny. I love adding like that shit to this. Okay, can I get this for the fraud then too? Because I do want that. Let's do that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And we're gonna like increase the tolerance. And we're gonna cut it out. And we're gonna... Oh wait, it's here, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. Could also just... And then also... I could then do this. And then I could copy that. Paste that. And then... Nope. And then we can control Y this and just get it nice and red. And then I can do effects, do object outline again on this. Same level of bullshit. And then we can add a drop shadow to it and it'll look terrible. We'll learn for the future. This is the first draft, but like, look at that. Oh, look at that. Isn't that just so good? Oh, man. Okay. What's the next thing we've got, huh? This is the YouTube thumbnail, as it were, for the VOD. So we've got in this space. This is our transparency background. This is our font. Transparency. Okay, so what we could do... Ooh, here's a fun thing. Let's look at like... What about dodge? Additive. You know what? Let's not fuck with it for now. Next zone is like... These are some guys, okay? I'm gonna just say it. There are some guys. I'm gonna add this text above this layer. Yeah, so every layer of text will get its own layering. This is just some guys. They're not some guys. They're fine. These dudes, guys being dudes, is kind of like the vibe you get here, where it's like maybe it was the builder, maybe it was someone else. It's like, yeah, you gotta know these. You gotta know. Okay. So we'll sort of we'll do that, and then we'll do object. We'll also outline this object. We'll make it like that, that ugly, kind of kitschy ugly. Don't want to cover up the data or anything. Haha, here's right. Let's probably just black. Yeah. Okay, and then we can add a drop down. And then what we can do is I'm basically gonna like do freaking lasso tool here to make another just disgusting shape. But like, check this out. Okay, ready? We'll get and then we'll do that. And that. Alright. We have it now. Let's go to our transparency layer. And let's find ourselves like this lightish blue. Opacify it. And then we can paint that in. And we'll make that much more transparent. Ooh, I kind of like that, but it's a little too pale. Like, yeah. Okay, this is good. I know this is not like colorblind friendly, and I'm having fun. I'm having fun, and I'm making it for me. I think it's fun. Right, so these are my you gotta knows. What does it look like? You got it. What layer is it? Oh, frick! That's on the base. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna cut that entirely. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut. I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna put it on its own layer, and I'm going to basically object outline. I'm gonna make that outline. Oh, that's an interesting level. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make that blur very top. Do I want? I can't. You can't read it while you're putting on plot. Do that. And then blur that. And then what is the drop shadow gonna look like with that? Probably not very good. Yeah, you don't need that. It's overkill. But yeah. Instead of that, let's just add. I want to. What are we? Ooh, that depth of field is interesting, just from like a visual, but it doesn't look very good. Okay, let's have it on and see what it looks like when it's on. How's that? Uh, all right, let's just roll with it. I don't. Let's just leave it. Okay, so these are just like some dudes like let's call this one like this is just some toy box. Let's call that toy box A. Where is my color? We want to call this like just toy box. I think that's probably the best way to sort of frame this area. Yeah. And I think that makes sense. I don't think Calibri is a respectful enough font for this. Let's just do. Yeah. So then we just. Yep, that's right. And then we add object. Sharp. That's the move. That's the look right there. I like that quite a bit. I think that that's like tasteful. $69. All right, that's Playbox. And then we can add a just square, probably on our transparency. That is green, of course. With limited opacity. And we will just, like, get down here. Look at that. And then we just make it more transparent. Did somebody say Rin? Hello, Shane. Are you interested in looking at charts? I'm making charts. I'm making a chart. I'm making a, like, hey, this is a fun chart. I'm posting charts. Okay, so, and then these guys, hey, guess what? Guess what I can do? I can write text. I can make it this. I can do this where I do this and I go unviable in this meta. Generally unviable. Because no one wants their favorite to be called unviable, and I feel like, you know, by saying this, I put myself at like a general risk of being like lol idiot when fucking Pangoro wins worlds. But unviable. Thank you. Let's capitalize this. But guess what I can do? No more MS Paint. Bada bing. Bada. I wrote general unviable. I'm generally unviable. Okay, let's do that, and then we select our text like so, and we go like that. We put that over here, and then we object outline, make that black, make it red, big red outline. No, I don't think it needs that, but I do think we could do object. And then we like that. Like that. That might. That might. Yeah, and then we can just do the red for that. Yeah, no one likes having them be told like your favorite is unviable, right? Like I understand that, and you know, like I get it. I'm a Rotom Mo guy, you know, like what am I supposed to do here, huh? My favorite was viable one time at the start of Gen 8, which I just think is really funny. That was like the metagame I played. I had like the greatest success playing like early Gen 8, I'd say. Because it was like COVID time, basically. In COVID, I picked up competitive monsters. Where is my... Okay, that's... Maybe I want this to be a more strong looking thing. I want this to be more strong. I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna switch this. So we're gonna do it again. Once more with feeling, huh? Okay, we're gonna do this red. We're gonna do generally unviable. And then we're gonna do object outline that in black. And then we're going to effects object drop shadow that. Yeah, that's so classic. Look at that. That's so classic. Freaking classic zone. And then this one is just gonna be like wait. Yeah. No italic. No bold. That's where these folks are. They're in Undertale. This is where Blaziken and Gardevoir are in Undertale right now. Do not ask me what that means, but they're in Undertale. Not anywhere else. Undertale. Okay, so and they don't need to be like covered up. Undertale. Yeah. Let's make this one purple for no reason other than it seems like it's a good idea to do so. Um, this is gonna be purple. Uh, um, this is the probably pretty good. Probably like worth checking out. Like, hey, learn these. I think is the best way to do that. I think that's the easiest one to say that. These are like you need to know what these do. I mean, more so than the others. Like, don't forget about these guys. Yeah. Okay. It's gonna be don't forget about them. Oh yeah, GTA Fire Emblem. Don't forget about me. That's what these guys are. We're gonna do. No, that's. What's another way I can phrase this? You don't overlook. Yeah. This is the don't overlook category. And it's important to, not overlook. And we're gonna. I might change the hue on this. Yeah, that's the one, actually. That's the one. Okay, and then we'll make this the purple. That'll be purple. Okay, so in this space, we are going to be in the layers. We have this. So let's... wish I had the tool that let me select with a line. I don't. So... we do square. we do a Riemann sum, everyone. Who's ready to do a Riemann sum with me? What does that mean? What's a Riemann? It's a joke in 999. See how we approach the area under the curve with rectangles? We're learning calculus today, everybody. This is what we call in the business a Riemann sum. Oh god, the lasso's gone. Yeah. They took away our lasso. They don't want you to have lassos. Alright, and I'll have to... and then that piece. And then we're gonna do... we're gonna paint and this. Okay. Something looks kind of like the foam. A bit more blue. A little bit more. Yeah, like that. I think that looks. And then we can just sort of deal. Yeah, that's great. I like that. I like that. This urine Undertale looks stupid in a good way. Let's mess around. Let's get this right. Nope. Let's get this. I like this. This is fun. Having a good time. Creative spirit is on full display right now. We are near the end of making. What are we gonna call these? Like interesting interesting dudes, I think, is like kind of where I'd put these guys. These are like saw some success, but just like they're not being used. So it's sort of like you essentially is what I would I would call this. Yeah, like this is, let's just call this what it is. Let's just call it you. Okay, and what do we want to use for that font? Let's use Yoaster Island, huh? You. And we'll make this like I think that's how we define this, yeah? Oh my god, my stream sounds like it's very far behind based on what chat is talking about. That's okay. We're learning. Okay. So this is you, and I think that like that makes sense to me as a like these ones are good, but they're just not being used like in the most definitional way of saying something is you. It's underused. It's not being used as much. So it's like okay, cool, I'm good. Awesome. I feel like when it really comes down to it, like these guys are not bad, right? Like they're not bad. They're just for one reason or another, they're not getting on teams, right? So like I think it's worth looking at to some degree, but it's sort of like we'll learn more about this in some capacity. But for now, they are you. And we're okay. And then let's just paint this a very light purple. Too dark. Yep, something like that. And then I can just do clean up, a little touch up, like that. I can do a little bit like that. Alright. This is what we're looking at. This is how I would describe what this shit's going on right now. This is my perspective on the metagame. What are you doing here? You don't... cool zone. We need to extend that toy box. Alright, let's... Cool. Okay, so this is what we're kind of looking at. I am going to deal with that, like, this is the tournament results from the Coons Champion Cup. I think we've learned a lot here so far. I'm going to turn this one off. But, like, see, that's what you can do, is, you can learn a lot. You can start to classify mons into, like, things that are good and interesting. So that's kind of a fun thing. So that's like a little... Okay. Okay, what else can we show off? Oh, let's look at Staraptor's win-loss, because I think that this is really fun. I think that this is really fun. So another thing you can do is I wrote a thing where you can basically import the matchup data. So let's say we want to look at Staraptor, right? What the hell happened? What happened with Staraptor? Well, we're going to find out. Staraptor didn't do very well, and we can plot its win and loss values against each other and see how it fared against its opponent. So here we have horizontal axis is the number of losses that Staraptor faced in a given match. The vertical axis is the number of wins a Staraptor had in a given match. And immediately you can see who it's losing to with some regularity, right? Like, if you look at this, Staraptor is losing to Farigiraf all the time. It is losing to Rain, like Pelipper, Archaludon, Swampert, all the time. It is losing to Sylveon more often than not. I would say anything in the second band is like a reasonable way that like Staraptor lost to, which I just think is really funny. But the thing that really stands out is just how much it lost to the top meta threats, right? Like, look at this. Look at this. How many metagame threats are in this space? It is tremendously bad for this, to the point where like it did not even get 30 wins against an opponent, despite it like having Basket Legion. Look at this win line: 30 wins to like almost 50 losses against Basket Legion is so bad for Staraptor. It's kind of incredible. Yeah, the team I gave you eats Staraptor for breakfast because, like, if you climb the ladder with it, you're just gonna run into it. So I would say Staraptor's a ladder. Like, look at this, right? Staraptor had bad matchups into Basket Legion, King Gambit, Charizard, Whimsicott, Farigiraf, Eternal Floette. Like, these are all just, like, the best mons in the game. It's really funny. Staraptor is on Fraudwatch right now. Fraudwatch in a meaningful way. It's not even just against, like, these top threats. Look at Staraptor. If we change these axes, I just changed this so it's from 0 to 30, so you could zoom in on this a bit more. You can see how the slope kind of changes. The slope is how I kind of define these regions. Let me get these to the same lengths, and I can show you and explain kind of what they mean in better detail. So I'm going to go from 15 to 15, and we'll explain what this is. I'm just changing how like we zoom into the data on this right now. And then I'll talk about what these slope lines mean. So essentially, in a win-loss scenario, there's almost no ties, and frankly, I don't care too much about ties. So I want to know how much a Pokemon wins versus other Pokemon, right? So I can plot like this first middle line. This is Y equals X, I'm going to call it. That is the same number of wins as losses. And so essentially, if a Pokemon went truly 50-50, it would be on this line, which is what we kind of see here with Ceruledge and Scovillain on this page here. If the this is like the line that's 75% and 4/3. So it's reciprocal slopes. They don't necessarily have a statistical mean. I want to emphasize that. But like, you could draw the level sets of these to like figure out where these lines are parallel and use that to sort of consider usage in a sense, right? Point being, on this line and on this line is like past this, it's like, okay, Staraptor only won like 3 in a matchup. Staraptor is winning only, or the matchup has a ratio of 3 to 4 wins to losses for Staraptor. So it's losing certainly more than it's winning. And if it's below this line, Staraptor has lost twice as many times as it has won. Same thing is on the opposite end, where Staraptor wins more than twice the amount of time it's won. So it's kind of like, that's that. So why is Staraptor favored against Raichu? That's a good question. This is where some of this starts to break down, especially at these low values, is that this is a matchup where a team with Staraptor beat a team with Raichu. So in my book, I read this as the people who brought Staraptor prepared for Raichu, and they prepared for Rotom. And like all of these guys, like you can see that these Staraptor teams that did win were winning against stuff they prepared for, but that weren't like metagame defining threats necessarily. And so that means that Staraptor might not be a huge fraud as much as it is a victim of lazy team building. Because it seems like people thought that Mega Staraptor would be enough to beat the metagame threats, and very obviously it was not. So this is something that, like, just something to keep in mind. Like, you know, Staraptor beat stuff it was supposed to. The teams beat the things that it, like, were the sort of, like, what is Staraptor weak to? I'm going to build a team that stops that. That is why we see, like, Sableye here. That's why we see Raichu here, Rotom here. But, like, you know, Staraptor should be beating Mega Venusaur, but clearly the teams that were, like, built did not prepare for Mega Venusaur. So when I say the win-losses, you have to remember this isn't in a vacuum, right? But still, like, it tells us about the players who used Staraptor. So, to put this in perspective, right? Let's look at, oh, this is actually really good. Let's go back to that cool guy zone. You know, like, let's go back to Delphox here. And let's look at Delphox. Let's look at Delphox using the same kind of deal, right? We'll go max axis to be convenient, right? So Delphox, we knew had a high win rate, but not a greatly large usage. So let's look at that. Let's look at that. All right, here's Delphox. Look at how many Mons reside above the y equals x line here. Like, all of the metagame threats are well into the Delphox is winning, like, more than the 4/3 ratio, right? Like, it's probably a better slip to have here, but it's very intuitive for 75%. So it's 133%, right? And this is 1.5%. So essentially what we're seeing is Delphox is winning a lot against a lot of these Mons. Like, Delphox has fewer than 20 losses, and it has nearly 30 wins. That's really good. Like, the win percentage on Delphox is tremendous. So let's look at, what if this is from 0 to 20 instead, right? So let's only look at up to 20 losses, not the max axis. So we can see, like, what's Delphox beating in a meaningful way. Yeah, Venusaur also works against Sun. That's true. That's true. So here Delphox is beating, for one, Mega Staraptor, but also Torkoal. And if you look at Sableye as kind of like a Manual Rain and Trick Room, Delphox is beating Trick Room pretty regularly, it looks like. Especially when you consider Farigiraf is up here, and also Sinistcha is up here. What we see is that these are the two biggest Trick Room setters in the format right now. And they both get kind of beat by Delphox. So it's interesting to see that. Obviously, you don't see many Politoed. Politoed's, again, that Perish Trap, it seems like the players who brought Delphox did not build for the Perish Trap. Granted, Perish Trap is not very common right now, it seems like. Still, like, this is how you figure out what to, like, build for the next tournament. Is you have to look at what won and what didn't. So when I see this, like, again, compared to Staraptor, like, Delphox is just freaking killing it. And like you can see it's up here. Like it is in the cool guy zone, right? Like we define the cool guy zone. That's why. Venusaur is like the same deal. So these are just ways to like look at that. And then you see that Delphox and Blastoise are very close to each other. So if we look at Blastoise, right? Let's go back to the 1-in-1. I'm gonna delete this one for the sake of. No, actually, you know what? I'll keep it. Because Blastoise should also be bounded. But let's, for the sake of looking at a maximum axis first, let's do that. But we'll see that Blastoise is going to have a very similar trend, and you can actually start to figure out, like, okay, based on this, I observe... This is really good for, like, making cores, I think. I think this tool is really good for that, because Blastoise is going to show a very similar... Oh, shit. Delphox. Okay, so Delphox at full, and then Blastoise at full. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay, so Blastoise is here, right? Why did it do Delphox? No, Blastoise. Okay, cool. So, like, Delphox, you can see there's an obvious bend. Blastoise has a lot more of this, like, lower matchup goodness, but it struggles kind of more generally. Like, it's kind of all over the board with the current meta opponents, which is why Delphox makes for a very interesting partner because it's beating those. Additionally, Blastoise is beating stuff that, like, Delphox loves to have beaten. Namely, if we zoom in on these lower guys, right? Let's go into, like, we are going to go down to, like, 0 and maybe 10? No, let's do 0 and 8, because I think that excludes Archaludon, because we know Archaludon is beating Mega Blastoise, like, just generally. That might not be obvious why that is the case. Archaludon in Rain is really quite good. Mega Blastoise does get Aura Sphere, but it's probably not running Mega Aura Sphere a lot of the time, which means it has to rely on either, like, Water Spout, Water Pulse, or Flash Cannon, and that's not beating Archaludon. So you can see, like, again, there's just a lot of overlaps here because of the low data, so you'll have to sort of work with that. But you can see, like, Blastoise is beating a lot of these, like, Snow Setters and Mega Scrafty, Mega Metagross, Tyranitar. It's got a good matchup into other weather. It has a solid matchup into, like, Rain itself. It's hard to make conclusions from this, but what we can sort of see is that, like, Blastoise does some good stuff that, like, especially Tyranitar and Sableye, the fact that it has a pretty good matchup into these, is greatly appreciated by Mega Delphox. Like, you don't have to bring both in the same game too. You can sort of pick and choose. Okay. Yeah. Keep going. Okay, so, like, Blastoise and Delphox are a common core in this tournament, as we can, like, kind of see when we start to look at teams again, where we go back to here, and we go to standings, right? If we look at Top Cut and really think about this, like, you have where's a Blastoise? Okay. Where's a Delphox? Okay, here's a Delphox. Let's look at all the Delphoxes, right? Of the 14 Delphoxes that came and made it into this tournament, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top 64. That's very good. And then you also have, like, many more. I think this is, like, what, 9 in the top 100. So top half. And then also you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have 6 Blastoises on these 14 teams, and half of those are in the top 25. Half of those are in the top 64, for that matter. So if there is a Delphox in the top, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a Blastoise, but Blastoise is getting to the top because of Delphox. And then let's look at what else is on that team. You have King Gambit, you have King Gambit, you have no King Gambit here. You don't have a King Gambit here, you have a King Gambit here. there's a core that's like defend the king, which I think is like keeping King Gambit alive to like break through and sweep. And I think Blastoise and Delphox do that quite well. So if that's a core to look at, I think that is quite an interesting core to look at, all things considered. You're looking specifically at guys in the cool guy zone and why they're there. So with that in mind, that's kind of the vibes. Kind of the vibes. Kind of good. So that's what we can learn just from like this single tournament. Like this is literally just like one observation of one tournament. But like hopefully you get an understanding of like how you can do data analytics to try, like literally just looking at the data a little differently can provide you some really meaningful insights into like what's being built, provided you understand what's being presented. And I think that's why like charts are really interesting when you start to consider like what a metagame looks like, especially like what's being played, what's winning, and how it like what it actually means for building. Again, like if we return to our example, like again, if we return to our example where where did I freaking put it? There it is. Let me save this as a PNG so I can make it cool. Okay. Bear with me. Like, okay, here's what I'm saying. When we look at this again, we can very clearly, oh no, I can't use my laser pointer. Oh no, this stinks actually. Like you can just see how this kind of works though, where, hello BB, thank you for the stretch and the hydrate. I'm about to freaking drink so much water. Might have to do a walk when my lovely wife comes home. But you can see what we're talking about here, where you have all of these sections of data, where you can learn a lot about what things do and how they work. I think that there's obviously room for interpretation. This is not like the gospel. I am not ranked on ladder at all. I am just sort of like, I'm using this as an exercise to understand how the data reflects the metagame trends that I observe, and what should I direct my attention to as I am going. So with that in mind, I think that like it's a fun exercise. It's certainly a means to like look at a bit more and take a bit of closer look at the data beyond just looking at the list. So I think that's kind of like the magic of it all. I think that's really it. So I am going to, I think, be done here for the day because I am getting excuse me, I'm getting tired and I have stuff to do yet today. But I figured this would be a cool way to sort of go through and explain like, hey, let me tell you a little bit about some data science. But you should make it look like you're gonna eat a Pokemon in the PNG tuber. Okay. Wait, hang on. I gotta change the layer. Look, there it is. I'm gonna destroy this dude. This freaking... He's a fraud! Look at it. This Staraptor. This Staraptor is a fraud. It's a fraud. Nope, that's not the one. Yeah, you see that? That's a fraud right there. No, this is the YouTube thumbnail right here. This is the YouTube thumbnail. I believe it is. Goodness gracious, what a spot to be in. I might have to move this a little bit so that the fraud isn't like in the time area. YouTuber pilled. Ayo, la 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 yo. Yeah, that's good. And we could even make this bigger. We could go like that. And then we could go... We could do this. No. We could do this. Actually, I don't... We could do this. And then I could have like these guys over there. And then I can yeah, like that. Look at 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 that. That's good. That's our thumbnail. That's another thumbnail. Wow. I do like the you're an Undertale though. I do quite like that. But yeah, that's the power of graphs, baby, is you can make shit like this and then like post it on the internet and people will watch you and think you're cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. What do we think, folks? What do we think? Did you enjoy this? I might do this more. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I mean, that's good. That's good. I feel like I have an interesting little thing, and I think that's good. Let's see. I have to use the bathroom. So I think I could keep going, but like I don't want to go too long. Maybe I'll come back here in just a moment, and we'll look at one more thing. We'll look at a different tournament and see like what we can find. I wanna see if I actually want to look at a new-ish tournament and see like what I can learn, be even more transparent, you know. I'm just finding my BRB stuff. Where is it? That's not it. Mean. No, no. No. I have so many freaking videos on my pictures on my freaking thing. What do I even want to do? Let's do... Not that. Let's put special thanks to Snake Rattler. Alright, we'll be right back. Special thanks to Snake Rattler. We'll be right back. We will be right. Hello. Okay. Thanks to Snake Rattler for watching the stream while I was gone. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to look at a... yes, I'm going to look at a new tournament. One that I haven't looked at yet. And we are going to go to tournaments. We are going to go to 11 that, and then we'll do window, Firefox. Add existing that. There we go. Okay. And then we'll just lower this down a whole lot. Firefox, just like Delphox. I do think that Delphox is like cool and interesting, and I'd like to probably use it at some point. I just need to get Delphoxite, which my lovely wife has played ZA. I have not played ZA, and I don't know. I'm not feeling it, chat. All right. So this is TCG. I don't want. I want BGC. Okay. Let's look at this. So this is what I was looking at. Coons, right? Move you Fuji. Let's move the Fuji tech. Move the Fuji. Put her down here. Okay. So we could look at. This is good. What others got like a lot of players? 90. I guess it's the Open League, Reg MB, Open League 1. UPGC Trainer School. Why don't we just do this one? So we'll do that. You. Reg MB, Open League. Let's get this tournament ID. And then let's... So we see the winning team. This is the winning team. Garchomp, Nisha, Mousehold, Delphox, Poet, and Cinnamon. The Delphox. And look again, Blastoise Delphox right here. This is that defend the king thing, as I understand it. So let's do that. We are gonna go to the metagame one, combined, and let's look at this, shall we? Okay, so we're still in logX. Okay, let me remove that, and then we'll get a good picture. But we can clearly see immediately Incineroar appears to be the most brought Pokemon here. This is an interesting one. So because there's less data, it's hard to draw conclusions from this, but we can still say a few things. You can still see that 50% line pretty clearly. Underperforming, Rain underperformed here. Torkoal remains underperforming. Staraptor's still in that lower area. Gengar, Mousehold. So the cool guy front is made along here. It looks like Delphox is still there. A Alolan Ninetales is interesting. Let's see. Farigarath and Sylveon and Eternal Floette. What's Mousehold doing here? It's what? There's only 80 players in this, so I'm hesitant to like do too much. Let's look at Mousehold. The Mousehold is interesting because it's got almost a 70% win rate. But it was only brought like 6% of the time. Our 15 or 16% of the line is like here, so yeah. Bear with me. Okay. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna add one more thing to this plot because I think it's useful. So let's do plus, and then it's geom underscore AB line. That's Avalon. And then we'll do V equals 16.67, and color equals, what color should it be? Nice. We could do that. We could do... Let's do that. Is that right? No, we don't want it. We don't want that on this plot. Excuse me. We don't want that. We want it on here. We want that here. Okay, so let's do that and see what it comes up with. Just so you can see kind of like where this 16% line is. I think that that's quite important. Oh, yeah, comma. That's always what it is. It's always a comma. Okay, so it should show up like right around here. That's the... Oh, I want slope equals... AB line V equals O. Oh, not geom, just AB line. Okay, I see. That gave me a slope, not a... That's the slope. Okay, my drink? What if I did that, and I just did, and then I did this here, and I put that there, and then I get I spacing right. Get my spacing right, eh? I just think. All right, we're making plots. Do I need a All right. Well, let's get that. Huh? We can do this. Install. I'm installing on stream. Oh no. Don't install stuff on stream. Don't do it. I'm not doing this for you to watch. Okay, and that should do it shortly. In the meantime, this is interesting standing data on the grounds that Mega Metagross and Mega Venusaur are on the same. I like this team. I think it's interesting. Ironhead Stomping Tantrum is cool and interesting. Sorry, I'm reading documentation here really fast. Yeah. I would love this. All right, we're just gonna not do that. We're just gonna not do that. How does that sound? Let's not do stuff that we don't know how to do on screen. Sound good? Cool. Okay. So here we are. Mouse hold. Let's look at mouse hold. Let's look at mouse hold's matchup. Hey. By the way, this is just like the data, right? So this is my table view. I'm gonna look at mouse. Mousehold has, oh, and let's put the whole... So Mousehold's got interesting matchups. It's like beating, it's supporting its partners that are trying to like... What is Mousehold doing, honestly, actually, in this? Let's find a Mousehold in a... Okay, so what is Mousehold doing here? Mousehold is Focus Sash... Okay, so it's Focus Sash, Friend Guard, Follow Me. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, Mousehold. What tournament is this, by the way? Did I say this was? This was MB Open League 1. Mousehold set on Fluffyman. This is a true support. So Mousehold is not using Population Bomb on this team, which is really, really cool. Because what this team is doing is effectively saying, I have the power to redirect attacks off of my partner, and so I want to like be able to make progress. So that's what Super Fang does. It reduces your opponent's HP by half. And Feint means you can break through Protect, you can Follow Me, and you can Protect. So there's it's offensive team support. And it's quite good with Focus Sash on there. So odds are you're probably running it in a mode with like Delphox or with Eternal Floette, especially because these are both setup sweeps, right? So you are ideally redirecting attacks off of them or otherwise giving them additional bulk to set up and then so that they can run Havoc. That's also what Sinistcha kind of does in this case too. It looks like more than not Casted Berry for Ghost. Basque Legion, namely. Because, yeah, I mean, doesn't like Basque Legion, doesn't care for Basque Legion. Basque Legion's a pain in the ass, Basque Legion's a pain in the ass, right? So Mousehold's also very fast, so it also makes sense that, like, that's there. We have another Mousehold in the top 4. This Mousehold is a wide lens population bomb. And whose team is this? Joker Jr. 888? Pop Bomb wide lens. So this is sort of like interesting because it's similar but very different. Where as opposed to this one, which is using Follow Me, Super Fang, and Feint, this one's using Population Bomb and Taunt. Super Fang and Feint versus Population Bomb and Taunt. But Follow Me is very obvious. The wide lens mandates is mandated by Population Bomb. If you're not running Population Bomb here and instead choosing to do Feint or Super Fang, then you can run Sash, and so that makes Mousehold a bit more versatile. I think that's a cool set. I'm gonna definitely make note of both of them, though. I'm writing them down in my notepad. Not keeping track in like a Word doc or whatever. I'm gonna put them in my Obsidian notes. Maybe I'll publish them. Who knows? That'd be kind of fun. But you can see like what it's doing, right? Like, what did Mousehold win a lot against in this tournament? Well, let's have a look, right? So if we see Mousehold's beating a lot of these like Trick Room setter immediately. I see it beats Mawile, and it's not doing well against like the big metagame threats by any stretch. But it does well against teams with Mouseholds were beating Sinistras as well. Teams with Mouseholds were beating these things. But they were not necessarily beating all of these guys, which is interesting. What are we looking at for Mousehold? So Staraptor, Goldengo, Goldengo, Garchomp. Oh, Staraptor won. Oh no, Staraptor didn't win this tournament. That's right. Okay. That's right, Delphox won. So where's Mousehold coming in? Like, why are we using Mousehold here? It's because I postulated it was because we want Delphox or Eternal Floette to set up, right? That is our goal with this team. So obviously then we want to make sure that Mousehold is providing that team support to Delphox. So what does Delphox threaten a lot? And we can return back to our previous notes, where it threatens a lot of the main big six, right? Which is what Mousehold struggles against, which is interesting. This is for all Mousehold, I should emphasize. So, hard to say exactly, like, what, you know, like, I would argue, don't use this as, like, a guide of what exactly is good and not good, but, like, you can see the matchups where Mousehold teams just won. And, like, I equate Farigiraf with Trick. But this begs the question, like, you know, this is not an independent thing. Delphox also beat Trick stuff quite handily. So it's sort of like, how common / pervasive is that? So that's something to look into more, I think, is, like, the tied percentages against, like, win percentages against Farigiraf, like when they were on the same team, when they were on different teams. I think that that's an interesting thing to look at. What else? What else? Any other Mouseholds in the top cut? Mousehold, two Mouseholds? 3 Mouseholds. What's this one? Get lost. Why? Almost identical team. Follow me Super Fang on this. So it's like the same team. So if I had to guess, our pal Musically Anna and Fluffy Min have the same team. They have, like, they probably built this team together, if I had to guess. And Musically Anna have same team. That's interesting. You don't necessarily see that unless you sort of go through this with, like, a fine-tooth comb. Interesting, Pokeshem and Metal Leg Solid have very similar teams, but they're reported different. So, let's look at that. Blastoise, Delphox, like, Aka, Orange Spot, Dark Pulse. But Shell Smash, Protector in different orders. This is Heatwave, Psychic, Nest, Plus Protect. This is Heatwave, Nasty Block, Psyshock. They're different. And Psyshock won versus Psychic. So, something to keep in mind. I'm a big believer in Psyshock Delphox from my Gen 6 days. More over Psychic, I mean. Psyshock is just generally always better. In general, I feel like Reg MB has a very similar power level to Oras, like late XY OU. You know what I mean? Or like VGC 14. Feels very similar power levels here. So it'll be interesting to see how the meta develops, because we still got another 2 months on it. I think Delphox and Blastoise are just a solid, right? Like, and then you have this, you know, consistently good team again. What are we looking at? We got Mousehold in this spot. That's pretty good. Again, it's really hard to like draw meaningful conclusions if you don't have like more than 250 mons in a data set. Maybe instead of past 4 weeks, let's do all the while and see if we can get any other stuff. Doesn't look like it. For fun, let's look at Reg MA, actually. Let's look at Reg MA and see the biggest one we can find. That's the Reg MB. Okay, so... yeah, I think, so this is for Reg MA. So this was a Reg MB tournament. They just listed as Reg MA. Oh, I could just go... These tables are weird because they only show you like the maximum per thing. So if I do Spear Pillar, that could be one. Let's go back even a little further and look at this. Spear Pillar. Okay, let's look at this 243 player one. This is for Reg MA, so it's not going to be like the same, but it will give us some insight into like what the things were like before. And I think that that's not a nothing thing. That's like quite valuable. So what was Reg MA looking like when we left it? For like, when was this tournament specifically? It was May 16th. So like 2 months ago, basically. So 2 months ago, what was good? What was good 2 months ago? Oh shit. We don't want that. Yes, and I don't. So this is what it was. Uh-oh. Am I experiencing a bug? Yeah, I think I am. Let me just do that really fast. This is... if it's not gonna work, we won't worry too much about like labels right now. But I'll have to look into that. The way the API call is being made. Yeah, so this is just from Spear Pillar, Champions number 4. This is Reg MA. So what we have here is Basculin, very, very obviously. And then you have Cleavor and Hisuian Samurott, which were like... I remember seeing the things about, like, right out of the gate, you can see what didn't win a damn thing and what won quite a bit. Mega Frostlass here is really interesting. I think, let's look at this on the log scale here. The Cleavor and Hisuian Samurott is interesting. Hisuian Samurot's have more than one, and they both have 80% win rates. So let's look for those, huh? Okay, so Badass Frostlet won with Hisuian Samurott. So what is that looking like? Okay, so you got spikes. It's Spike Snow. Okay, that makes sense. This is actually really funny. I feel like this is a really similar thing to something you would see in like NU back in the day, where it's like, or no, RU even, like it's Frostlass Spike Stack. That's cool. Okay, so basically how this team would work. So Mega Frostlass is a weather setter, so you can Spire Up Blizzards, and it's generally quite good. That means that it provides a lot of interesting utility, but it's weak to like King Gambit in particular. So let's add something that's... let's add a few things that are good to King Gambit. Namely, Milotic and Sneasler. Or is Sneasler good to King Gambit? It's not bad. Actually, yeah, it's pretty solid. They sort of like... It's a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, not quite. And then you have... So you have these two, which like King Gambit, you know, is annoyed by. Mega Aerodactyl for Tailwind attacking, to beat Zard Y. You know, if you can't get Frostlass to get the snow to disrupt it, not that that's even going to really do much. This is very much like the Charizard Y answer on the team. And then you have Hisuian Samurott, which is really interesting to me, because it's no doubt setting up spikes. It is trying to break Focus Ashes so that Scizor and Frostlass can like punch holes. Milotic can threaten things. It's trying to make it so that any pivot switching chip is going to be bad. It's also really discouraging a lot of like Incineroar usage, which makes a lot of sense when you think about like Frostlass is not like facing Incineroar. So Milotic is very anti-Incineroar. Hisuian Samurott's very anti-Incineroar. Sneasler's very anti-Incineroar. Aerodactyl's very much anti-Incineroar. It's an interesting composition. Why is Scizor the answer? Let's think about what it does. It does Bullet Punch and Bug Bite with Technician. So it's hitting fairies. It's hitting Mega Floette primarily after a Swords Dance, I imagine. Most certainly that. what else are these Sylveons? Like most fairies in MA in particular. I think there's a place for it. Probably also Whimsicott too. I think that there is a place for Scizor in the metagame. I just don't know where it is. You can see what's going on here, kinda. But Badass Frostlass, one with so this is Hisuian Samurott. That was kind of an obvious one. What was the other guy that we were looking at that's very interesting here? Cleavor. What's that guy doing there, huh? Where's that Cleavor character? Here it is. Okay. Shake VGC is using Cleavor. Interesting squad. Cool squad. Okay, I get it kind of immediately. Okay, so let's talk about this, right? What we are seeing in this team is... what we are seeing in this squad is essentially... You are building around Mega Meganium and Mega Skarmory. And Mega Skarmory is interesting because it is stalwart. So you're basically Brave Bird, Taunt, and Ironhead. Interesting things. What would be... It's beating the fairies that want to set up and would otherwise be redirected. So, like, Calm Mind Floette is why you would run something like this. Is that a problem for Mega Meganium? Because Mega Meganium is very much just like doing standard Mega Meganium on, like, it's a good mon. It's just, you know, Mega Meganium. It seems like this team was made in service to, like, support Mega Meganium because Cleavor exists as, like, Scarf, Rock Slide, Stone Axe, sets up rocks, discourages Charizard X. I kind of like Cleavor. I think Cleavor is interesting if you can make it work. It's interesting if you can make it work. Vascular Legion is Sash, so it's just trying to, like, maximize output damage. Farigiraf is, like, a Trick Room for, what? Skarmory? Skarmory, probably. Kangaskhan being Silk Scarf Scrappy. Lord. Fake Out Last Resort. So it's basically turning the match into a 3v3. And hoping that you, like... It's basically saying, like, you're going to lose them on, I'm going to pick which one it is, and now we're going to play 3v3. And this is essentially what it means to be hyper offense then. So this, you know, you could lean, this is like, I think you could say this is a hyper offense. In the sense of, if it's not it's maybe not it's hyper offense, but it's like a style of hyper offense where it's like reduction offense. That's kind of what it looks like, where you're trying to just, like, get rid of the one thing that either Mega Meganium, Farigiraf, or Skarmory, or Basket Legion don't like with Kangaskhan. And if you see a Charizard Y, you are clicking Cleavor. So that's what I read that. Wish we could see what they brought, but you know what? That's okay. Interesting teams. Okay, so that's our outliers. So that's where I usually would start in my analysis, is like, what are the outliers of the data set, right? So what won a lot that only a few people brought? Okay, then you have Mega Meganium, Frostlass, and Skarmory, and that's that hyper offense team, or that's that oh, I guess Mega Meganium is here too. Again, this is a MA. That's right. I gotta remember this is MA. But you can see, like, this is how you would analyze it, is then you could go, okay, Frostlass stands out. What really underperformed? Bayonet, Gyarados, Luke. Mega Scovillain, I think, is the biggest underperformer on this bunch. Just the, like, the hype compared to, like, what it actually did. Granted, again, I think it's really obvious when you look at this bottom curve, especially. That's kind of the indicator that I would use to see. So I think that's kind of a fun way to look at things. So let's look at one more MB tournament really fast. Let's look at one MB. Huh? Let's look at a new one. Let's do even just... Oh yeah, the St. Jude one where he had 728 people. That is probably the best one to look at. If you are gonna look at any tournament data in this way, this is the one you would want to look at, because 700 entrants means that you can get some pretty meaningful data observations. So here's where we see the interesting thing, and hello B-Drill. Hello B-Drill. Let's look at that top cut. Or yeah, let's find that B-Drill, huh? It must have been really high. Maybe not. Pyroar. Hello, Pyroar. Espatra. Oh, this is... Yes, I did look at this the other evening, and Megalopony is very interesting here. Where's my... Where's that B-Drill, huh? Let's see, what was its... let's look at metagame, actually, and we'll look at win rate. And we'll say, who brought B-Drill? Portaviv. Oh, this is, what's his name? Okay, so this is a B-Drill team. It's the Mega B-Drill Rain team that, like, dog-walked people at the St. Jude's tournament. This ended up being, what spot did they get? They lost in the 12th round, day 2 of Swiss. They lost in day 2 of Swiss. Okay, so they didn't make top cut. But they did... Remind me, who am I looking for? No, I'm looking for... Torviv. Okay, Torviv. I got 9 points. As list. They went 9 and 3. Okay. All right, let's look for that 9 and 3, huh? There it is. Okay. So yeah, they went 9 and 3, got 21st overall with a Mega Beat, which is quite fun. The opponent win versus their win. Oh, that would be fun. Look at average or op win versus op percent for Mons versus share. How many times? What was the opponent win percentage versus the share? So this would be X. And then, yeah, because what I'm saying is, like, figure out how many of these there were. Or maybe that wouldn't be... That's not going to make sense, actually. But, like, plotting... You could plot, like, the players, like, who has the highest wins versus opponent in Day 1 Swiss, for example, right? Like, looking at who the best players of the tournament were by looking at opponent win versus opponent versus opponent. Could be quite interesting to check out. So, with that in mind, let's... so that's B-Drill. Interesting outlier. But if we look at, like, what are we seeing here around the 50% line? Garchomp, Sinistcha, Basculegion, Incineroar, King Gambit, Whimsicott, Charizard Y, Farigiraf. And then your Rain friends, Swampert, Pelipper, and Archaludon, Sneasler, Floette, and then Grimmsnarl, Mega Metagross, which is seeing some support, but, like, it's on the losing side of things. Mega Metagross is, it seems like. And then Sylveon. So you could draw this as the 1 per team line here. And then we have sort of the, again, cool guy front, underperformer front, sad Sceptiles underperformance of a generation. Let's do that. Yeah, sorry, you didn't see any of that. You see, we have Garchomp, Sinistra, Incineroar, Basculegion. Switch those two. King Gambit, Whimsicott, Charizard, Fergarap, the Rain Friends, and then Sneasler, Floette, Screens, and Mega Metagross. And that rounds out our 1 out of 6 share. And then we have our overperformers. Hello, Beedrill. We have our underperformers. Hello, Sceptile, Vileplume, Hydreigon, Raichu, and Staraptor. Which, again, I think is just very fun. Looking at Raichu and Staraptor in particular, actually, here's the greatest way you could do it. Like, Gliscor, sorry to say, not doing well. Then we have Electros, dramatic bad underperformance. And then you've got, again, Lopunny and Snorlax here. They're cool. This Snorlax is in here because it made top 4 with Funny Fissure. Oyster. No, that's Gengar. That looks like Oyster from here. Gengar and Lycanroc. Lycanroc is interesting. I think that was like the one that people were talking about was that like Italian player was using Lycanroc. Let's find yeah, Lycanroc Dusk. Solid win. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm remembering something else. But Lycanroc made multiple tops. Mega Scovillain teams, it looks like, with Lycanroc as a means of taking on Charizard Y with Accelerock. That makes sense. Yep, this is a very, like, Lycanroc makes a lot of sense. Lycanroc, Rock, Dust. With Frostlass plus Scovillain. I think that could be really interesting to, like, this is a really interesting way to just see, like, good cores, you know? Like, this is the core of the team. And then you have these three, you have the three, these three. So that's interesting. Sceptile dramatically underperforming. If we want to see, like, what's Sceptile up to? Why did it fumble so hard? In this case, I wouldn't call this one a fraud necessarily, as much like I think we all knew Sceptile wasn't gonna be tremendous, but like that's a sad underperformance. Yeah, Sceptile lost to just about everything, which is really a darn shame. But I think what I need to do is I need to plot like the slope of the average line, and quantify it that way. That could be like an interesting win-loss slope. Plotting the slopes of the viable Pokemon. You could just do win percentage. Just plot it by win percentage, and then that's a lot more meaningful. Anyway, let's. What other thing was interesting and bad? Electros didn't come enough to really be interesting. What happened to Hydreigon? That's Hydreigon and then Raichu and Staraptor. Okay, let's do Hydreigon. What's going on with Hydreigon, huh? Okay, so Hydreigon's losing to... I think it just doesn't like the fact that Garchomp's in the format at base 102 speed. Like, God, Hydreigon wishes it were just, like, 2 points faster. 3 points. Like, Hydreigon's base 100, right? Like, hold on. What is Hydreigon's base speed? Am I gonna look like a fool? Hydreigon's... Yeah, Hydreigon's base 98 speed, so it wishes it was like base... It wishes it was base 100. Hydreigon just isn't gonna... Hydreigon just suffers from being slow. I mean, like, that's really it. You look at this guy, you look at this guy, you look at all these guys, like, they're all just faster. Hydreigon does have, like, decent matchups, but it's just not fast. What about Raichu? What about Raichu, huh? Okay, Raichu had a really good matchup into Rain, which makes sense, right? Like, of course it's gonna get a Rain. But it really did not handle It didn't handle the big main threats that you have to handle now when you're building a team. God dang it, I'm so sorry. Yeah, okay. Raichu did not do well because it doesn't handle the things that, like, you would want it to handle. In fact, like, it handles rain well, and that's what we would expect. But you can see, though, that, like, wow, it lost to King Gambit. Wow, it lost to Rain. Like, teams that played with Raichu, not Rain, Snow, they just lost to Snow. Mega Venusaur, in particular, is, like, bad, bad, bad. So, and that's something that I think is of interest. Venusaur is here. Venusaur's on the cool guy front. So let's look at Venusaur, actually. I want to see Venusaur here. Because we already know Staraptor was kind of like over-prepared for her. What does Venusaur do? Yeah, Venusaur just eats rain. I mean, Mega Delphox beating Venusaur is not a surprise. But I think, like, Delphox, Blastoise, and Venusaur are interestingly good. Obviously, like, the three Megas that are of interest, I think, like, you can make a good team with those Megas if you want to build around them. I think in that way, they are decidedly, like, A rank. If you wanted to put them in a tier list, I think I would rate them, like, A- or A. Like, it's somewhere between that. Like, Delphox, I could see tipping into the... Like, I just don't know how you can say... Here's what I mean, right? Like, this is an S rank, right? These are a, like, S- rank. And then these are A+. Or wherever this is, like, A+. If these are very... If share indicated tiering, for example, that's what it would be. So, like, these would all be in, like, the A- area, I think is what that is. Because I would argue these are S-, these are A+, these are A, and this might be A, A-. So, that's kind of where we're at. But, like, I do think that, like, that's the point of A-, is, like, you can still absolutely build around them, but they're not, like, the thing that you're gonna use to dominate the metagame, right? So, interesting stuff, Venusaur. Let's look at from 0 to 10, just to see, like, what happens. We can go in with it. That. Alright, so that's what it looks like when we're a little closer. Obviously, there's more overlap, but, like, you can see Venusaur had a really good matchup into, like, Mega Scrafty and Toxapex. Interesting that it's beating Mega Blaziken and Ceruledge, but then again, Thick Fat, right? Loses to Fissure Snorlax, that makes sense. Yeah. Frostlass is beating it, that's interesting. I mean, like, granted, you have to remember that Venusaur can operate in two different modes entirely, right? Like, you could do with Venusaur. Here's what Venusaur is looking like. You have Venusaur here on Sun. As, like, a Sash Chlorophyll Sun Sweeper, right? That gets Sleep Powder. Which, like, it absolutely does great at. But then, literally, like, that's what the winning team did. But the 12th place team had a Mega Venusaur with Earth Power, and it was in Rain. Which was just, it's just an interesting... Venusaur is splashable. And so I think that the fact that you can do a lot with Venusaur is interesting to me. I'm going to have to look at the Venusaur. Sun Sweeper. And Rain. And that's on WBVP. And on Joe UX. So this is kind of how I figure out, like, what I would want to study, right? Is I look at these sets and I see what worked and what were, like, interesting. because, like, at some point you take notes on all the standards, right? Like, you make sure you have your Charizard Y, your Life Orb Garchomp, your, your Pulverberry for Farigiraf, setting up Trick Room and what it might run. But here, when you see a Venusaur set, you grab it. Or something that seems interesting, like, oh, this is Light Screen Flex Spirit Break Parting Shot. So it's a pretty common one. But are there any, like, interesting things? Like the Choice Scarf? Hydreigon. That's interesting. So just, like, keeping track of sets there, and then observing Mamoswine. I like Mamoswine. I like Mamoswine a lot. I would love to try to make Mamoswine work if possible. I think it's slept on. But, yeah, you can see how that works. So, oh my god, I've been going for 3 hours. Well, I think that's going to be enough for charts for today. I hope you've learned a little bit about how to study some metagame trends. This has been helpful for me because it's really helped me, like, talk through some things, and I know what I'm going to do tonight in my studying afterward is I'm going to put these in my Obsidian notes, and it'll be fun. But that's all for today. I totally timed that. I definitely timed that. We are gonna wrap it up here. So who wants to experience the joy of statistics? No, I don't see any of my mutuals streaming, so I'm just going to wrap it up there. But thank you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. I would like to do more of this if you all are interested in seeing me do more of it. Talking some analytics on stream. So until next time, later.